All right, everybody, we are here with the grand finals of the Last Chance DreamHack Masters tournament, and this here is going to be a display of the best Terran vs. Terran in the world. The player who usually takes that title down here in the bottom right side, it is Maru. The man who's been a disgusting obstacle for both Hero Marine and Clem whenever we get excited for those European Terrans to show those Koreans how it's done. They run into a TvT with Maru and they find out, yeah, nah, they've got a little way to go. He's, of course, representing Envy Gaming. In the top left side, we've got Kua, who's going to be playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, I want to say. Now, Kua has become an absolute monster in the last 2 years, and he is really a force to be reckoned with. So I don't think this is going to be an easy match for Maru by any means. But, you know, at the moment, Maru is on a GOAT streak. He has been dominating internationally. He's been dominating in Korea and one of the most consistent, highest performing players there for 4 years straight now. He won everything there back in what was it, 2018? And since then, he keeps racking up titles. He keeps adding to those titles. No one wins everything. No one wins every single tournament in SC2 because your opponents start studying you. They start seeing what you're up to and that sort of stuff. And at a certain point, you know, you've not got any, you're going to get surprised. You're going to get caught off guard. There's going to be a habit you weren't even aware that you had in your play that was abusable. Someone's going to sneak some maps, some series off you. There's a big target on your back when you're the best player in the world in StarCraft. Everybody studies your style. Everybody studies your builds. And it really is very difficult. Yet despite that, Maru is so damned consistent. Q has become a champion recently and become very powerful though.
Thanks for all the content. You're a legend, Pig.
Reedy boy, going above and beyond. Dropping us a $10 tip. Thank you so much for the love, mate. I'm going to use that to go buy some lovely Lanjiao noodles later today. Anyone who's actually a native Chinese speaker or speaks Mandarin, sorry for butchering that one. Lanjiao. We're going to make it as Australian as possible, so at least we're obviously mispronouncing it. Thank you so much for the love, mate. I'm going to really enjoy those, and I'm going to watch the dude stretch the noodles out in front of me. Does anyone like doing that? Oh, there's something about watching someone do fancy things with dough that you can't do, and you're like, yeah, noodles. Anyways, let's keep focusing on the game. This looks like pretty solid openings from both sides. Double gas into factory as well. And the only real difference is we've got two Hellions versus Hellion into Widowmine. Now, I love the Widowmine because this is such an aggression catcher. The Widowmine, if you just get that burrowed on the ramp and it blows up a Hellion, hits the Reapers with the splash damage, oh, devastating, man. And yeah, very well placed, so they'll only kind of see it as they run up the ramp. I think Kua, best choice here is to just disengage. The moment you see the Widowmine, just get out of there. Maybe you lose one unit. Oh, but look at that, he's waiting. Oh, so he's actually doing it as it's like a, hey, at some point Maru's going to move out to see what's going on the map, and Q is going to try and catch a unit or two for free. Very cute. Now he's splitting these units just so we can see if like a drop or something moves through the south side. So if a tank drop moves out, he'll spot that with that Reaper. Very cute. Both players now going for Cyclones. We should be seeing Ravens starting up. Maru, though, a little gas-starved. Third gas is up for both players. The Q gas is lining up a lot better. What's going on with Maru's gas? Maru's screwed up somehow. Why is Maru so far behind on that Raven? Wait, no. Maybe he had an extra Cyclone queued up or something that he cancelled? I think he must have had an extra Cyclone or a tank queued up ahead of time. And that's why he didn't seem to have the gas. But then he's cancelled it. He's built the Raven now. Both sides playing very defensive. They're both waiting for the other one to make a slip up. This is incredibly high level TvT. I wouldn't recommend playing this way at low level. Building lots of these early skirmish units like Reapers and Hellions, but then not committing to a fight doesn't make a lot of sense unless you both know that you're insanely high level players who have just perfect defense. So both sides are really playing cautious. Notice the Cyclone looking to patrol, intercept any Raven or drop coming across. The first real scout in the middle stage is coming out for Maru. Reaper going to hop in. He wants to check the production. He sees no cloak upgrading, and it looks like a real standard setup. He also sees no third command center yet, and that's important because Maru, on the other hand, has got one. Now, how do you have a third command center? You've done identical build orders. Well, he's also got one more SCV, and it's like half an SCV ahead, which means he's just missed slightly less SCV production. Maybe Q just clipped a supply block. But the main thing should be the Marine count. Notice that Maru skipped 4 Marines. That gave him an extra 200 minerals. It means his army's a little weaker if push comes to shove, but he figures, hey, that won't matter defensively. That allows me to get my 3rd command center down earlier. This is something special does all the time. Cure, on the other hand, has said, well, I'm going to keep building units, but then to make up for my later command center, I'm going to build it on location. And normally you'd push forward and go for a fight here, but notice that Cure is still just kind of camping at home. Both sides having so much respect for each other now. He's going to try and move down and clear up that watchtower. Hellion takes a fair bit of damage, even to just 1 Marine, if it stands and fights. If Maru was really caring about that, he would have moved out, moved in, taken a shot, run away, moved in, moved out, that sort of thing. Oh, that Marine's going to scout no 3rd. Now, Maru's going to be a little confused, because the normal expansion pattern is you take this 3rd and you take the 4th up the top, so that you're kind of controlling that north side of the map, and that way protecting against doom drops. But in this case, a little different. And Maru's going to be like, oh, okay, your 3rd's still in your main, no worries. 2nd and 3rd barracks goes down slightly later for Cure. 3 SCVs ahead, 5 SCVs ahead now is Maru. So it feels like Maru is just a little more focused on hitting his macro perfectly in this scenario. He seems to be leaning into the, okay, we're just playing a macro game. Whereas notice the SCVs keep on not being produced by Cure. I think Cure is a little more unsure about his situation. This is something I notice is when I'm more worried about the fight going down at any moment, I don't miss a beat on my unit production. I'm really good with my upgrades, just like Cure is. I'm really on point with my army movement, but I steadily just miss an SCV here or there. And if you don't then use this unit advantage, you can fall kind of far behind. Cure is now down 7 SCVs right now. He does have a scary army, but what is the real advantage? 5 Marines? Raven energy is pretty equal. Viking count's almost identical. It doesn't feel like he can do anything with this unit advantage, and it's definitely time to focus a little bit more on that macro. Reactors going up for him. Double engineering bay should be starting those upgrades shortly. There should be about, I guess, 20, maybe 30 seconds behind Maru, depending on when these upgrades start. Random Reaper comes in, manages to grab an SCV. Should get a second one before that Cyclone kills it. Causing a bit of a nuisance here. And Maru, this is what's so impressive about Maru, because he can cheese the shit out of you. He can commit really hard to aggression, and he can completely switch gears and look like the most defensive turtley Terran of all time. That range as a player is what's so annoying about playing against him, because you really wish you could just fit him in a nice tight little box, but he really is so good at the 2 extreme ends of the spectrum. The only weakness I ever talk about with Maru is that his mid game is not incredible in terms of just raw multitasking and out positioning his opponent. I feel like Cure is capable, if the game's scrappy enough, of actually outplaying Maru in the mid game. But Maru wisely is like, I'm just gonna turtle up and take a 4th, and I know I can beat anyone in late game because I'm the end game god. Come on, this is the easiest path to victory. Like, just play to my strengths. And I'm like, well, I got to agree with you, Maru. Now, these turret placement's kind of interesting. I'd like another turret there if he's really worried about drops, and another one up here. But interesting to see if Maru takes this 4th base, then you don't really need the turrets there because you just put turrets here. So that's why I prefer this 4th. So I assume Maru is actually going to take this 4th base on the right side, maintain more center control rather than focusing on the south side of the map. 4th base does go down for Cure as well. This is about the most patient and defensive TvT. This is hard to appreciate. If you're a casual viewer, you might be a little bit more like, fight! Oi, dickheads, fight! And I totally agree, guys. I am a casual MMA fan, and sometimes when one guy's lying on top of the other guy, and I'm like, I get you want to give your buddy a cuddle, but can you guys stand up and punch each other in the face, please? And I'm kind of aware it's because I'm a noob and I can't appreciate it as much, but also I would like to see a bit more punchy punch. And it's the same in StarCraft. We all want a bit more punchy punch, but don't worry, guys, trust me, when the players are this defensive and this afraid to engage, it shows insane respect, and you should absolutely check it out, man. You should absolutely check it out. We've got Zombie Grub arriving in chat having a laugh. She says, Maru vs. Cure. Best games of StarCraft, in quotation marks. She's making fun. She says, look at this snooze fest. This one's boring. It's a boring game. To be fair, I have an admission to make. I have not watched this. I know the result of this finals. I've not watched this at all. And definitely it's something where we are going to be witnessing right now one of the slowest TvTs to unravel. But I guarantee you the fireworks will go off, and the fireworks might be one firework to the face of one player that just kind of, hits him in the nose and knocks him out. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Zombie Grub casting a little bit of doubt on this one. A little bit of doubt. We're going to see, though. Right now, it's identical armies. No one's forgot combat shields. Upgrade slightly, and here we go. Maru does take an anti-armor missile to the face. Kills one of the Ravens. Both players, I think, losing a Raven there. Tanks are sieged up. No, Maru kept both Ravens alive. And 12 Vikings versus 12 Vikings. Kua takes forward position. He's going to start inching his way in here. And, oh, the massive Marine run by, but Kua spots it. Kua should be able to get his tanks over there in time. Kua, wake up. Okay, those tanks need to get sieged up. Just here. Siege him. And he's going to do so. He's going to move the rest of his army back. Maru's a bit of a Chad, so he might just stim into that anyway. Oh, that tank's not in range. They're not covering it. He's going to have to lift the command center. As long as he doesn't lose it, he'll be fine. But, oh, mass repair! Is it enough? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He's going to just such a big marine thrust for Maru. Does get a few SCVs. Is this worth it at the end of the day? I think so. I think it's all right. Gets a gas, a lift. 13 SCVs. I think he killed a tank there as well. And, you know, pulls Kua's whole army home. That's okay. Kua does take a 5th on location, though. 2-2 upgrades kicking in for Maru. Maru's going to take 2 more starports as well. And are we going to see Maru just go full turtle mode? Because that there was the sign of full turtle mode. So when you guys want to play, I just want defend and basically take advantage of my opponent being too overeager to fight, this is what you do. You siege your tanks and you run around with your Marines. And all you do is Marine medevac counterattacks and you just try to defend with Tank Viking and win the air war because that's the most important part. 13 Vikings versus 11 right now. Maru's got air control. Kua, he's trying to range out this base and it looks like he's got tank position so he's able to deny it. That's definitely very useful. But there's one thing I've got to bring attention to, and that is the fact that this is Maru. Now, what do you guys know about Maru? What do we know about Maru? Maru is one of the Terrans who understands the Iron Bank better than any other Terran. The other Terrans, I often describe as FPS players. They like to click with their dicks. They like to headshot things and micro, but hold that thought right now. Big fight going in. I love the double interference matrix from Maru, getting great value off those Ravens well after the early game, and he's still got one alive. So back in point, a lot of guys like Kua and Beyond, they can play good late game, but not like Maru. Maru's the kind of guy who's happy to sit there and build 6 extra orbital commands and have more scans than you would ever believe. Look, he's already beginning the Iron Bank. That's his 4th orbital. He's going to keep getting more and more of these orbital command centers up. And, oh, Kua is doing the same. 3 command centers go down for Kua. Kua apparently getting a little bit of respect for the Iron Bank himself as well. Look at that. Oh, Maru, you stylish little bastard. Does a tank drop, gets 1 tank with it. Now he's going to get another tank, drops in the minimum range. Remember, siege tanks can't shoot within a small range of themselves when they're sieged up. Kua does get one of those tanks on the chase, but the Raven transition already underway. And uh-oh, Raven starting for Kua, but Kua's forgotten Corvid reactor. Probably means he doesn't realize as well. He really should get that. As I said, he does start it up, and another starport on the way. So both players going to be going into Ravens. Ravens are the best value for supply unit in the game, essentially, for Terran. You could argue battle cruisers in some situations can be amazing, but then you've got to remember that a single 2-supply Raven can completely destroy a battle cruiser, can take it out of a fight with its interference matrix, or, as I like to call it, cuck matrix. Because I don't really understand how it works. I feel like it just points at a unit, calls it a name, says, you're a cuck, and then the battlecruiser loses confidence and just sits there for 10 seconds. Anyways, Vikings are going to be very good for actually winning the fight, though, in the air. And if you kill the enemy Vikings and then start gunning down their Ravens, that's going to be fantastic. And we've got, what, 6th base going down here as well. Kua definitely has more of the map. I'd love to see him try and sneak the top right in this scenario. And he's making a bunch more orbitals. So he's got an orbital there, an orbital there. Right now, look at the structures. 4 orbitals versus 4. We've got a 5th one coming in for Kua. Oh, he's been out positioned though. Oh, he's going to have to give up this base. Kua getting caught way out of position here. He was setting up a nice tank turret line on the bottom. But now he's going to try and fight into this angle. A bit overeager from Kua, taking an ambitious engagement. He gets hit by a big anti-armor missile in the air. He's got a big Viking count advantage though. And so this could turn into a very good fight. Maru stays way too long. Planetary actually survives? You're kidding me. Planetary actually survived there. There's only 1 tank in range of it right now as well. Wow. And Kua actually took a sick fight because he had the Viking advantage. He does lose quite a few Vikings overall, but he's killed a lot of the Ravens and other units. Turret goes down just to try and keep him back. Now the tanks are in range of the Planetary. I think the best choice here for Kua is probably drop Marines on the tanks. Fly forward, drop auto turrets, and drop Marines forward. I actually think he can break this tank line. Look at that, because he can chase the air army off. I actually think he can unsiege and jump on this. But he's not going to do it, and I mean, he's going to lose the planetary. It's not the end of the world as long as he doesn't panic. Sending SCVs to the bottom left corner. Still equal base count for both sides. That's a massive tank count for Maru, though. He's on 16 tanks. Does take a couple volleys there. Got to watch the air count. Extra starports. We've got building armor, +1 armor for the air units coming in, as well as 1/1 ship attack and air upgrades. We're turning this into a big positional war. Kua has split half of his army on the south. He's going to retake control of the north side there. And he's going to rebuild that command center on location. So he's going to try and secure the top with the Viking tank and run the tank marine around the bottom. The danger here is if you get your army isolated. So if you split your army up too much, especially against a Raven player, they're just going to go, oh, cool, there's only 5 tanks there. They'll interference matrix the 5 tanks, they'll stim in and just get the best fight of their life. That's exactly what Maru's looking for. Now notice Maru as well, very aware of that sensor tower. He's moving his army back and forth here. And it's this, he doesn't want to move into that sensor tower range. He doesn't want to give warning of where his army is. You see, he barely moves some units in. He's thinking about moving through. Love to get rid of that sensor tower of Kua. Double drop on the south, gets spotted here by the sensor tower. Kua goes a bit too deep there and immediately building more turrets. I was talking about this earlier, how if you take this base, you just get a bunch of turrets on the bottom. No longer can get flanked. Kua will be doing the same on the top. 2-2 air weapons for Kua. Kua's playing pretty damn good late game right now. Maru is going to go +3 vehicle weapons. Here we go. Maru's going for an attack on the top. Interference matrices, but there's more tanks behind that. The Marines do get trapped in a little cage. But look at that. He just sieges up and is able to take those siege tanks out. Very nice engagement by Maru. Gets the initiate, gets those Raven matrices off. And this is why the Vikings need to be out front the army to gun down those Ravens ahead of time. Otherwise, you can take some pretty nasty fights. He wants to win with this big Viking count, 15 versus 9, but the Marines will smash him. If he flies over those Marines, he's in big trouble. Maru continuing to deny this base. Fusion core now on the way for Kua. Is that for range liberators or is it for battle cruisers? Battle cruisers are a great harassment unit, but they're very inefficient if they get hit by interference matrix. Dumb question. What happens when the tanks turn orange? Okay, so the orange is what we call the Dorito dust. Basically, the Raven, it has like imagine a water balloon filled with Dorito dust. And when you put it on units, they feel ashamed because they look like neckbeards. It gives -3 armor. So imagine any unit attacking those gets +3 damage. So it's especially impactful for things like Viking versus Viking, because Vikings do 2 attacks, so they get +6 damage. So rather than saying 2 times 15, it becomes 2 times 18. So it goes from 30 to 36. Marines, it's massive, because the Marines doing 9 damage goes up to 12 damage. Now, obviously, there's armor to take into account as well, but it's really, really huge, and it can go into the negative of armor. So it's really massive in Marine versus Marine, quite big in Viking versus Viking. Siege tank versus siege tank, it's completely meaningless, because a siege tank does 80 damage. Going from 80 to 83, you don't really give a shit. It makes no difference, right? So it's really big for units that shoot very fast and frequently. Nice interference matrix just to clear this one out. Maru now rotating to the south side. Q is so focused on defending that top. Maru also has his own tank turret contained. This is really such a slow and methodical TvT, and this is where Maru excels. And I'm amazed that Q is trying to fight him at this stage, but so far, he has been holding his own. It's just that Maru sometimes is getting a little bit of position here. Oh, quite a few of the Ravens go down of Kua. He does kill some of Maru's Vikings. The problem there is he didn't really utilize the interference matrices to get his tank sieged in range. Now, Maru's just going to keep moving around and trying to catch Kua out of position. You can see, oh, look at that. Does kill a siege tank, not bad. Oh, nice move forward. Kua grabs a few tanks on the retreat. Finally, we get to see some Stim Marines do something, but remember, this game's gone so late, no one's even bothering with many Marines. It's 13 for Kua, 23 for Maru. Now, Kua, what are you doing, buddy? He's so slow to track this army. Maru's been doing the same move over and over. Run to the other side of the map and try to catch you out of position. I can't believe it's worked again. Kua was so slow to get up here, and Maru's going to take big advantage. Wait, interference matrix and mass auto turret might work out for Kua, though. Yes, the tanks go down, but so does Maru's army. Maru's army getting a little bit close to cornered here. Another anti-armor missile goes down there. The turrets are going to cause a lot of problems. Oof. Yeah, I think a good choice to siege up and just pull that air army back. Got to clear those turrets out for shoresies. few more auto turrets to clear these tanks might be the way he wants to do it. We will see. Marines helping out Maru in a big way on the ground. The Viking fight's looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the units lost tab. Long games like this are all about efficiency, and right now Cure is behind by 90 minerals. What a shit player. How could he possibly stand up to the greatness of Maru? Can you believe the units lost tab is that close? What the hell? This game is insanely neck and neck. I can't believe how freaking close this is. That's actually insane. How is it? How is it 100 minerals and it's still, what is it, 180 minerals now, 181 minerals difference. This is such a close game. It's actually wild. Now let's check that orbital count. 6 for Cure, 5 for Maru. So neither has endless orbital command centers yet. Cure has a lot more minerals in the bank, which makes it seem that he's winning, but he is up 11 SCVs, so he's quite down in army supply, and he's only got 2 factories. I always talk about how in late game TvT, you should always go 4 factories, because if you ever run out of siege tanks, you just lose the game. Right now, he's dangerously low on 6 tanks versus 13. He's repopping with a lot of Marines, but in a static standoff like this, they're not very effective. So he's actually made a huge mistake. Maru has as well. I can't believe none of these guys has added this into their late game. I get starport units are the priority, but you need the tanks to anchor them. And with only so few tanks, Cure getting caught out. Maru's just been more efficient at keeping his tanks alive and keeping that production up. And this is actually huge. They're both very low on Ravens. They're both very low on Marines, but that 10 tank advantage is going to turn into a big problem encroaching on Cure's territory. Look at these tanks moving up, sieging up in range, and it looks like this is where things will turn in Maru's favor. He's going to get rid of this base for the second time on Curious Minds to start this best of 7. That base goes down. We've got only 4 tanks right now, regretting those only 2 factories. Such a bummer there for Cure. Just a bit too inefficient with his siege tanks. Oh, SCV run by. Let's go. Maru coming in with the SCV run by. He's targeting the sensor tower and the SCVs. Cure turning around. He says, you want to drill me? I'll drill you, mate. A bit of deep penetration going on there. 5 on 2. Taste my drill. And indeed, taste it they do. Oh, 4 on 1. He goes down 2. It's getting a little kinky over there. But over here, this is the furthest thing from kinky. This is just a sharp push. Those tanks are not getting cleared out. And if Maru wins the air fight as well, then he should win this game because he's still got the tank advantage. He's still on 13 tanks versus just 4. It looks like Cure will win the air fight, but just barely. And I think a trade is good enough for Maru, who's pushed that base back. Maru's got his top corner up there, so he's up a base, and he's even going to move forward and say, if I mine this base out, that's a huge advantage for me. Maru's up 20 supply right now, most of that being army supply. In fact, 30 supply being army supply. Maru did throw away some workers. He said, screw it, I can mill these bases. 60 workers is more than enough, and these guys in range of the minerals and the gas. Another base getting pushed back. Cure is in big trouble. Little drink of water. I'm hoping the rest of the games in this series aren't as macro oriented as this. I was thinking we'd see a lot more action and cheesy games. These two going at each other, but Maru apparently saying, I know where I want to take this game to. He's so calm and methodical in these situations, and he seems to just work that magic with his moving around and calmly hunting for these attack angles. He finds it again here, of course. Planetary burning down. A desperate Marine run by dives in. Takes out a few turrets and an orbital command center. He's going to try and get on the Ravens. Auto turrets. Maru a bit slow on the auto turrets, and you can see the auto turrets were even getting blocked there by the Marines. Maru needed to throw those down preemptively. The problem is, guys, the Ravens have a slow turn speed, and they take a second to place an auto turret. So if you just kind of turn around and try to throw auto turrets as the Marines are running underneath you, the Ravens will just be turning around and about to place the turrets, and the Marines will already be where you told those turrets to go down, which means the turrets get blocked, the Ravens derp out, and oh, Marine bombs! He's going to go for a big break on this tank position as Cure. A brave maneuver. Marines from the right. Unsieged tanks, Marines, Vikings, Ravens, auto turrets pushing forward. Another tank in the back. These tanks falling back as well. Maru still has 10 tanks in total versus just 2 of Cure. He manages to fall back, re-siege that tank in the north on 18 kills. That is very big in TvT. And this looks like Maru is just in the winning position. Every mineral he mines out of that top base is huge. All of his other bases looking good. Q is almost out of minerals right now. He has to tap out. Only a few mineral patches in the bottom left. All right, guys, game number 2 here. Gonna be the same sort of opening here for Q. The double gas opening, the staple of TvT. Gonna get that early factory up. And Q loves to SCV scout when he does it. His opponent Maru doing an identical opening. Oh my god, please. Okay, last game we saw almost identical opening. Super passive, careful play. Don't do that again. Don't do that again. Envy Gaming's Maru, Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And I gotta say, Cure, if you play the same way you did in the early game last game, there are dragons and phoenixes out there. Raw, powerful, mythical creatures that breathe fire and shit. They do not abide by this silly business. Also, look at this map, guys. We're on Hardwire. This map looks like you're in an Oblivion Gate. Look at this. There's blood grass. There's steam coming out of giant coral things. Like, this map is 100% you're in an Oblivion Gate. Like, you can't be doing that passive macro stuff on this map. No way. No way. You can't do that. This is a crazy map. There's friggin' Daedric Lords hanging around corners and shit. There's all sorts of wild stuff on this map. Well, identical openings so far. Let's see who gets the command center down better. Remember, Maru has the advantage spawn because his SCV spawned closer to the minerals. So he should get his command center down a full second earlier. Oh, Cure coming in for some aggro, but that means his command center is delayed by a couple extra seconds, but he gets the SCV, and that's kind of worth it because you delay the enemy command center. Just a slight bummer that his command center was delayed because he was watching that, but his Reapers should get away from the enemy Reapers, and that does end up being a net 7 seconds ahead on his command center. Of course, he had to pull an SCV all the way across the map to do that, so you could argue that's kind of expensive. Hellions and Reapers still producing non-stop on both sides. Do we see a second Hellion? Yes. Do we see a second Hellion? No, it's the Widowmine again. Maru, once again, Mr. Passive. Mr. Passive, no tank drop from either side either. Interesting to see both of these guys just kind of chilling out. I do think Cure commits with the 3 Reaper 2 Hellion though, because there's no ramp this time. So I think he goes in, but I think the Widowmine will be burrowed in time, and so he's just going to have to back off. Cure, come on, commit. You know you want to, buddy. Fight, 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 fight. Fight, fight. But the Widowmine, great equalizer in these scenarios. And notice he's sitting on top of it. So the only sign of that being there is when he sees it tracking onto one of his units, it'll shoot out a little laser pointer. But once again, Cure, he's kind of hoping Maru pushes into him. He waits there on the high ground. Now he moves forward, making his own Cyclone. Both players going for a third gas. They're going to go towards Ravens. This is the most vanilla standard TvT openings ever. And here we go. Hellion Reaper running in. Cure. He's going to sack the Hellion. Oh, Maru with the retarget. Maru with the retarget. You absolute savage. No way. Okay, so for those who don't understand what just happened, basically, if that Widowmine shot the Hellion, that Hellion was already damaged, and it was probably going to drag the friendly fire onto Maru's units because it was driving in. But instead, Maru said, well, these guys can just like 5v1 it. So instead, he just turned his units around to shoot it, and he grabbed the Widowmine and right-clicked it on a different unit, one of the Reapers, so that it ended up killing a separate, or actually the other Hellion, I think is what it ended up killing, right? Yeah, killed the other Hellion. And yeah, gets a few units for free there. Doesn't lose anything. The Widowmine retarget is like one of those things which is so cool when you do it, and you honestly should never even think about it unless you've already got 300 APM. It's just so, like, unless you're actually doing like a Widowmine drop opening and you've got nothing else happening at that moment, it's so rare where you should actually target a Widowmine where that's worth your actions in APM. But Maru is a god, and now he's going to push over to Cure's side of the map. Widowmine burrows up front and center, and these Marinas, oh, the Cyclone does get locked on, but he gets it out of range. Nice spready from Cure. Pull your Cyclone back, buddy. Oh, okay. The end of that, I think that was an okay trade for Cure. Yeah, you can see he's equalized now a little bit. And is Maru going to take a third on location? No, just going to build it in the main base. Cure builds it on the natural. Maru's still seeing if he can just leverage forward positioning to get a bit of momentum here. But I think Cure with auto turrets should be able to just push out and fight this. If I was Cure, I would definitely, with his second tank, push out and try to jump on this army, but he barely doesn't see him. Oh, he barely doesn't see him. This is kind of unfortunate for Cure. And he lets Maru get sieged. Oof. He's gonna... Oh, doesn't quite get the SCV. Interference Matrix comes down, but he unsieges in time. Oh, both Cyclones locking onto the enemy Ravens. Kua, you got to get that Raven out of there. But neither player able to kill the other Raven, and Maru, it looks like he might get his tank away. You've got to be careful chasing because Maru could have another tank sieged up here as well. So that's why Kua pulls back there. Should pull an SCV to repair those units. Second and third barracks go down for him. Once again, a few seconds behind Maru. But SCV production feels like he had some gaps last game, did Kua. This time, not the case. Maru's only up 2 SCVs. And considering they've both lost... Yeah, he's only up like 1 SCV, basically. And he's killed 1 more. So that just makes perfect sense. Nice little Marine spotter hanging out in the fog there. He's just having a little bit of a... You guys... So for some of you might never have been homeless, but sometimes you find like a steam vent coming up from under the street, and you just got to get clean. So you just go stand in that. Like you find like a nice steamy vent somewhere. Maybe you find some like dripping chemical water underneath an air conditioner. You just go... Sometimes... You know, it's just, you got to just pull out a bar of soap and have a little scrub there on the street, you know? It's cleanliness is very important. It's the mark of a civilized man. That SCV got blocked there. Unable to... Oh, he's going to build the gas. Command centers and gases immediately. Oh, okay, sorry. The command center's floating down, isn't it? Oh, run! Run, Mr. Cyclone! Cyclone barely gets out of there. 3 Ravens versus 2. Viking advantage, of course, massively in favor of Kua. These Vikings will arrive soon, but it'll still be 2 versus 4 even when they arrive. Kua, though, 1 less Raven, which means Maru's army, if he can catch him unsieged and just drop a shit ton of auto turrets, very scary army. Likewise, he's got enough interference matrices to take pretty much all of Kua's tanks out of the equation. Kua's got to get these Vikings out front, dude. These Vikings should be spotting for him. I think Kua's doing a poor job of splitting his Viking Raven off his main army group right now. I think that's what's hurting him. And Cyclone just got a Raven kill. Female Karak barely dodging the splash damage right now. But guys, Maru is now 3 Ravens versus 1. I don't know. Oh, it was these SCVs that were dying. Sorry, I thought they were Maru SCVs, which is why I was looking on the other side of the map. That's huge. 3 Ravens versus 1 is massive. Command center lifting, also massive. Kua should have been moving those units forward. This is not the smartest animal. I don't know what you guys think about flightless birds, but I think they might be bloody stupid. That one is real. It's just, go hide. There, you're in the middle of a battle zone. What are you doing? Ravens go in the main and drop 2 auto turrets. I mean, she's just hanging out. We're keeping that female Karak selected for the rest of this game in case she does survive. We'll be very impressed. Nice auto turret harass, forcing Kua to take that base and killing another 10 SCVs. And he even splits a Raven off, which is going to continue, but Kua catches that one. Bit too fancy there from Maru. I say fancy, a bit too F2-y, I think, actually. That's what happened there from that path that Raven took. Female Karak, she's still hanging out over here somewhere. Oh, she just disappeared, but I think that's just because she went out of vision. She's still over there. Oh, Kua, hungry, horny, ready to pay to make Maru pay the price, but those auto turrets may have just saved Maru's bacon. I thought that was enough Marine stimming in for Kua, but remember, they do not have combat shields, and those auto turrets bought a lot of time. Kua does end up clearing the army, but was it as good as... I thought it was going to be even better than that. It was a good fight, for sure. Let's look at the units tab. He's up 2 tanks. So 7 Vikings are huge, man. I almost want him to use those Vikings to go harass, start dropping them in mineral lines, but he could also just use them as a ground unit. They're like mini marauders right now, I guess, and this kind of works out. Tank Viking Marine, Kua desperate for some counter damage. He is rebuilding his SCVs behind it, trying to get himself back in a solid position, and you know what? He says, you forced me to lift my third, now I'm going to force you to lift your third, dickhead. 2 Vikings get sniped by the Marines. Lovely stim forward there for Maru. Both players' shields have now finished. Command Center does take a fair bit of damage. Just going to clear this stuff out as well. He's thinking about pushing in further and getting in range of those barracks and the like. Maru's only got 1 tank sieged up right now. Has he pushed too far forward though, has Kua? Yeah, I think he's going to get broken by this Marine. Notice the way Maru's spreading his Marines forward to try and spread that splash damage. And it looks like that's going to be a pullback. Kua does keep his air units alive, but he does kind of gas out there, trying to force the issue a little bit too much. Now his armory's finished, his 4th and 5th barracks are building add-ons, but you can see the chaos. Even a pro player here not queuing SCVs back to mining after building things. Starting +2 weapons, but not +2 armor. He does start a 4th command center on location. I'd love to see some Liberator harass from either player at this point. I feel like this game's scrappy enough that could be a real nuisance to deal with. But in terms of the focus, notice that Maru is on medevac focus for now. Does he keep building medevacs, or is it just having a couple for healing? Keep our eye on that starport and see which option he takes. Kua is continuing with a very heavy Viking focus. He's still got 4 medevacs alive, so it makes perfect sense for him to do that. Planetary going up on the 4th, and it looks like this game's going to stabilize. This has been a much more exciting and action-packed game than the last one. APM still ahead by about 70 for Maru, even with his shoulder nerve injuries and all the rest. People talking about him not being able to play as fast as he once did. I don't know. Seems like he's playing pretty effing fast. Has been a bit more of an efficient game, cost for cost, even though it feels like Maru's been a bit more disruptive to the economy of Cure. Cure has actually taken the better head-to-head fights, and that is sometimes the way TvT goes. You go forward, you deny bases, you push forward, you do expose your army to them taking that really nice fight on you where they land the interference matrices or they catch you unsieged trying to evacuate and get home. Now, this is a lovely little... just 18 Marines catching a few of these spotters. Obviously can't really push in any further. Scans ahead right now. Maru just making sure that Cure is indeed in position and respecting this. A few more Marines running through the middle of the map. That's a little bit random. Super random, in fact. Maru just doing that, lol, let's just stim some Marines in. And you know what? Gets a sensor tower. Well worth it. We've talked about those sensor towers. The Carrack's still there. The Marines do manage to bustle her aside. She's like, that's rude. You guys are rude too. You know, I'm just here to eat the blood grass, right? Can you guys stop fucking fighting? Anyway, Marines are going to come forward on the top. We do have tank siege, but they're not covering it completely. Maru seems to be so confident at doing this, right? He's so good at judging where those tanks can reach to just by looking at it. I'm the noob that always clicks the tank to see the dotted white line to see where its siege zone extends to. Again? Oh, Chad Gamer Maru. Chad Gamer Maru comes in, gets a sensor tower again, and kills the SCV trying to rebuild it for the 3rd time. Dude, this is insane. This is insane. Oh my god, what have we got? This is so crazy. 5th Command Center is on the way for both sides. They're both making their way to the late stage. I just love the way Maru's fucking with him with some Marine drops. Does some really good damage, and he's going to go straight up into Corvid Reactor. Armory, 2nd Armory, already on the way for Maru. Maru's going to focus on the double upgrades a bit earlier this time. Extra starports coming down for Cure as well. He does like to have the Viking advantage, something which I've talked about being way better at low level, but I've argued that not having the Viking advantage and just focusing on the Ravens with a handful of Vikings is probably best at top tier play. And that's what Maru did in the last game, remember. Versus Cure, he was actually lower on Vikings in many fights, but he kept finding openings. Now, there is a part of me that says, if you're good enough with your movement and you don't let Maru outposition you the way Cure did in the last game, maybe the Viking superiority that he's going for, maybe that is actually the better way to play it. It might be, because like I said, the Ravens have to get pretty close to land their spells. If your tanks are here, well, let's go look at a tank line. Let's say your tanks are here, but your Vikings are out here. You can start killing the Ravens out here well before they get in range. And they're going to lose a lot of Ravens just on the way in. But I feel like if you don't have that ideal setup, the Vikings just are not worth very much. Ooh, cancels a command center. Oh, Maru. Getting some SCVs as well. A Marine did come in and deny the SCV on that command center for Maru. That one does go down. We've got more Ravens on the way here for both sides. Corvid Reactor will be kicking in for Cure. Already kicked in for Maru. Both sides are getting 3/3 upgrades for the bio. +2 vehicle weapon. 2nd Armory now starting up for Maru as well. The Marine's going to go for a fight. Anti-armor missile plus tank sieging up equals no, no, no. Get the heck out of there. Cure's going to fall back a little. He's got to just run home with that. Medevac doesn't have its boost available, so it does go down. Now, how many Marines do both sides go for? There is a funny gamble you can take in these scenarios where you both go so heavy on Viking, Raven, tank, and then sometimes you suddenly just repop on like 60 Marines and you like drop 40 Marines in the main and kill a shit ton of stuff. You know, it's got to be a surprise though. It can't be something that gets spotted too far ahead of time. And Cure a little heavier on the Marines right now. He's only got one Medevac to heal them, which makes it kind of awkward. Tank count 13 to 11. I was talking in the previous game about how 2 factories, if you want insurance, do what Protoss players do. Think about Protoss in PvT. How many Protoss players have started going triple or even quad robo in late game? So if they do mess up a fight, they can quickly reproduce disruptors and keep themselves in the game and give themselves another chance. Exact same theory in this scenario. Now, obviously, getting the extra command centers for orbitals is the most important. We've got 4 orbitals versus 5 in favor of Maru. But as I say that, a 5th and a 6th one both start up for Cure. Cure is taking a lot more bases. The sensor towers overlapping on the minimap are kind of giving me a headache. Not kind of starts to look a little disgusting at this stage of TvT. Feels like, you know, you had this nice, beautiful map, and then your little nephew's gone and got some crayons and just scribbled some fucking, you know, demented crayon scratchings all over it. And you're like, this was a beautiful map of the world. And he's like, yeah, me draw poo-poo. And you're like, ah, fucking hell. Tank there does scare him back for now. Maru's looking for position. 7 Ravens versus 4. He's got the Raven advantage. He's down only 2 Vikings right now. Where are the Vikings of Kua? This is Kua's huge problem. What is he doing with his Viking Raven? He's got the Viking advantage. He's got to use it, mate. All his Marines are going to go for a run by on the other side. That seems to be where his focus is, but he's not using his Vikings correctly. His Marines run on in. He gets 1 tank. Can he get another? Heck no. He loses his planetary in the meantime. Sensor towers, a bunch of tanks. The Viking count, he's still in the lead, but he keeps not using it. I can't believe it. You've got to take an air fight. You can't be this focused on Viking production and afraid to take the fight. Even though Maru has a little better upgrades, Maru is pushing through. Kua, he's playing a mass Viking style as if he's the heavy Raven guy, but then he's playing scared. Super friggin' weird the way Kua's doing this, guys. These are big mistakes. He's got plenty of orbitals. Losing a base does not matter in the long run. What matters is that these 19, soon to be 22 Vikings start trading with the enemy Vikings, and he stops building them. He's got to stop building them. His tank count already down 4 tanks after these last trades, and if you're going to play such a cautious style, you especially need extra factories to repop. This is going to be hard, man. Okay, so Maru's going to move to the left side. Okay. Planetary is taking some shots. We've got not many tanks to reposition another base, and if he loses the base on the left as well, that's going to be a disaster. He's got to start forcing these fights. Inch your tanks forward just out of range and just take the Viking battle. There we go. That's a better one for Kua. He's up 10 Vikings, though. He's trying to rebuild Marines right now. The problem is he's already lost position. He's lost this base. Now he's lost that base. Now he's going to lose another one. He should have lifted that off preemptively. That is a planetary, thankfully. He should be able to cover that with tanks on the high ground. He's got to get those tanks over here. Move at least 1 tank on the high ground, in my opinion. Oh, no. Is he going to lose another base? Maru is just smashing it right now. He doesn't even have many Ravens. He's only got 5 Ravens. He's trying to rebuild his Viking count to contest the skies. I kind of wish he ignored that and actually focused just on Marines, tanks, and Ravens, because I think Kua is not really using his Vikings correctly. And don't get me wrong, it's kind of hard. You are playing the greatest player of all time. He is the best late game player especially, and this is his playground. This is one of the best parts of the game for Maru. It's one of his just next level skills, his end game and super late game, methodical, drawn out TvT matches. Kua, he's got to be willing to take that fight. The tanks are sieged. He should be taking that fight. Go for it, Kua. And Kua's going to take this fight, and he has a big Viking count. Interference Matrix is really going to help him out there as well. And I'm surprised Maru's trying to fight. All these Vikings are taken out by Interference Matrix. Auto turrets do manage to kill a Viking. They do a little bit of damage. But this is still looking all right for Kua in terms of how that air fight went. Tries to move his tanks forward, and they will take out at least one of these siege tanks. And he's just out of range of that one. Auto turrets will clean that up. Marines on the left side going to come in. 2 orbitals and a 3rd command center in the open. Nothing to respond to it? No, he's got plenty of Marines. 36 Marines of his own. Maru rotating to the right side of the army. That rotation got spotted, so you can see a good split for Kua here. Marines are going to defend the left, and he should be able to defend that. Oh, he's running away from it. Ooh, okay. Surprised he didn't set up a concave. Kua stimmed way earlier, so his run's out earlier as well. Oh, awkward fight for Kua. Kua needs a few more Marines being rebuilt right now. Oh, man. Oh, Maru. Maru taking good fights, and Kua getting pushed back. He's trying to push this right side. Planetary there. Very ambitious. Maru will lose that one. Command center up here. I can't believe he's going to get that. Auto turrets go down. Marines and a siege tank, and Vikings finally going to defend the top left. Planetary on the right goes down, but Maru already fully mining on the left side. Maru realizes the path to victory involves mining out the middle bases on this map. That is a game changer. It is huge, but the counter push is coming. Q is going to move forward. Let's see what he can do with it. Oh, big fight. Nice auto turrets and a couple of interference matrices come down for Maru, but it feels like because Kua was pre-sieged, he got some good volleys off, and if he can win this air fight, then the tail end of the fight, you see he kills a few Vikings on the retreat, Very nicely done. And I think this works out okay for Cure. He's got some Ravens, Marines, and a single tank on the left side of the map as well. I think he just sieges up here with that tank, but no, he's pulling home for some reason. I think he just doesn't want to get this army caught. So he's like, be cautious, man, be cautious. Tanks are moving forward. He's going to get in range of this planetary. And Maru moving to respond to it. Q is going to F2 his whole army down here to try to hold this position. I don't know if he's able to. I think he should be shoving into Maru's third base. Maru's got to pull his whole army to break this position, but it looks like he's going to be able to. And those tanks, I think they're just barely going to get overwhelmed. The triple auto turret will clean up those last two tanks. That allows Maru to siege, and going around a corner here, not a good situation for Cure. The planetary even helps out there with its big old 7-range Ibex cannon. The high-sec auto tracking has been completed. 2 more tanks arrive though, and that interference matrix really helping out Cure. Cure though is just so low on money. He has to tap just from losing those earlier bases. He's got orbitals floating. He's got so many orbitals. I mean, it seems like a weird point in the game to leave, but because this base is not mining, this base, he's got to transfer his workers, but he hasn't. This base is fully mining, and if he got this one and then took that, maybe he could have rebuilt, but you've just got to... He knows that Maru is so rich, and that Maru hanging on to this base on the right and having the middle one on the left, I mean, just look at the supply. That's game sense right there. Kua knew that his economy was in shambles and he needed to do big damage to Maru. He wasn't quite able to do it, and Maru does a really beautiful, clean, crisp game. Kua misusing his Viking advantage. You could tell that he misread the situation. When that first push came down the right side of the map, he thought he had less Vikings, and so he hit his Vikings behind and focused on his Marine counterattack. If his Vikings were in front of his army and he just fought it the way he should have, it would have been a totally different game. Kua down 0-2. Maru looking confident. All right, going into game 3, let's see if the build orders change up at all in the opening stage. We'll find out if Maru takes this second gas. Yes, he does. So pretty standard. Looks like the same stuff here. Maru for Team Envy in the bottom left. Looking confident, and Cure, he's kind of heartbreaking me right now. I've been talking about heavy Viking can trade really well with Raven styles. If you focus on the Viking count before focusing on your Raven count, as long as your Vikings are out front of your tanks, well, he's not done it. He's tried to go heavy on the Vikings 2 games in a row. If we find out ourselves in late game again here in game 3, I would love to see him adapt. Please adjust, Cure. Please adjust and get those Vikings in front of those tanks, mate. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure is an absolute monster. He's played so many situations so well, but definitely, I think, struggling in that one scenario. Both players blocking off this Reaper ledge. You can see there's a little ledge that the Reaper can hop up and then hop up again, but the depot does block that. Now, there is another ledge, so not only is there that ledge, there's also a ledge here. Reaper can hop up and hop up, but at least that stops this one where they can kind of sneak into the back of your base so easily. Skipping the depot in the wall, though, does mean Hellions could run in, but you'll get a third depot in time, usually. Reaper moving forward. SCV does pull back. Reactor's on the way. So Reaper straight into Reactor. All right. Now, this could be a very aggressive build where he holds the Reaper key down after that. It could be a swap over for the factory in the Reactor. Pump some Hellions. A few different options available. Maru sticking with the same sort of format as before. Multiple Reapers. Take the expansion. His expansion goes down 222. Identical timing for Cure. And are we going to see a swap? Nope, just building a Hellion. So yeah, if he goes Reaper, Reaper, Hellion, Reaper, Reaper, Hellion, and goes for like 5 Reaper, 3 Hellion attacks, something like that. Very powerful. Good way of overwhelming. Maru, even though he's had a Widow Mine, which is good versus that attack, he'll have to do that retarget micro again. If he doesn't pull that one off, then Cure could absolutely do big damage. Maru skipping production for a moment to get the starport down, then starts the Widow Mine. Just a very slight optimization, says starport's most important, and here we go, guys. It's that heavy Reaper production I talked about. Starport will go down behind it, but I think 2 more Reapers and then a Hellion. Yep, 2 more Reapers, and then look, a Hellion just gets the money as the other units pop out. Beautifully timed build. Back to 3 workers on each gas. 2 more Reapers and another third Hellion on the way. It's going to be a big attack, hitting right about the 4-minute mark. Maru, this setup though, he's using the same opening every game. Maru, I mean, he's playing this like a ladder style. He's like, I just defend and play late game. I'm really good at late game TvT. And it's not the most exciting thing. What is exciting is how Cure is going to rip it apart. And I really want to see what he's got in store. Is he going to find a way in? Or is he just going to throw himself onto the rocks and just get his body smashed to pieces? We're about to find out. That Cyclone, really well timed. The moment the Widowmine popped out, he built a tech lab, he built the Cyclone. I think he can defend this. I think he can defend this. The Widowmine is normally such a pain in the ass when you do this sort of pressure. He's going to come in, does get a Reaper before the fight even really starts. Cure. Yeah, the Widowmine just chases him off. He's like, nope, can't do shit. Cyclone, look at that. Okay, the Cyclone was very cautious there, didn't want to get killed, so he does pull it back, doesn't get a kill. And Maru going to send Reaper down the right side of the map. Tank production, Raven production, whereas the Cyclones are just coming out now. For Cure, the first one is, so Cure's a little bit behind. You can see his Raven's about 10-15 seconds behind, and his tank is going to be at least 20 seconds behind, probably about 30 seconds. There we go. To start a tank up, about 25 seconds behind on the siege tank. Now Maru's Reaper does get caught on the left side of the map. Good information denial for Cure. Says, look, you might be turtling, but at least I can deny your info. Maru with a great grenade. Zones out this Hellion that's trying to run this Reaper down. Reaper will jump up into the main. Marine and Cyclone could take it out. And does go down. Sees that the starport is just lifted off. This is a very quick second barracks. Ooh, okay. That is such an important scout for Maru, guys. Maru's gone quick 3CC, multiple Ravens, whereas we've just seen one Raven swapping into what is going to be a big Marine tank medevac. And this could have been 4 medevacs boosting into the back, dropping like just a ton of Marines and siege tanks. It could have been a huge push on the front. That's what this could have led into for Cure, because he's going to have stim, shields, 4 medevacs, a bunch of bio tank. Like, this gives him some real powerful drop timings. It's not all in. He's still got a reasonably timed 3rd CC on location, but it gives him some real killer drops. But now that Maru's aware of the fast second barracks, the starport swap onto the reactor, he's like, oh, okay. He's going to be completely ready. Whoa! Spinny, spinny, spinny! Whoa! Sorry, guys. Let me just pick that. I got a little bit in my eye. Sorry. Oh, fuck me. Widowmine hurts, man. It's very sharp. Sharp edges on that. Who knew? Explosive robot, sharp edges. Whee! Spreading to the gods. Legendary. Double EV there. 1-1 upgrades. A little bit quicker for Maru. Cure. Yeah, knowing that this push could come, you could see Maru's, look at this. This is his response to the build order he saw. Very early turrets on the edges. If you see early second barracks, then you're aware of that danger of the drop, and he's already getting turrets. He's already got a safety tank in the main, 2 safety tanks in the main. But this one here is really good because it kind of covers the front as well. Oh, and he can always respond with auto turrets as well in the main. Yeah, there's no way you're finding any way in here as Cure, so Cure's just going to try and delay him floating the 3rd out. And that's okay, because check it out. That's way oversaturated. Your 3rd might be later. You might be down on the workers, but at least you're already mining off of it. So this is Cure making the best of a scouted 2-on-1 style opening. My favorite way to play TvT is 2-on-1 because you get it to, threaten the drops and find a way in. But I've always found that Maru is very good at kind of just putting a stopper on this and not letting the opponent find a way in to do damage. Now, the best way you can come back if you want to double down on Mass Marine is don't take gases on the 3rd and instead go for a 4th command center on location. And if you go straight for that 4th command center, you can actually just boost up to like such a big mineral economy. You can go 8 barracks, Mass Marine. And when your opponent pushes out with their more tank Raven heavy army, you're going to have so many more Marines. You can just flank them, kind of like Ling Bane or Mass Charge Lot style, and smash. Problem. This player's name is Maru. Now, for those who haven't watched any Maru games, maybe you've, for some reason, just tuned into this cast 3 games in, Maru doesn't leave his fucking base if he thinks you're playing an aggressive TvT style. Maru is like the #1 guy, and if he thinks you're just trying to kill him with a heavy Marine style, he's just gonna sit there. And look at this, Sensor Tower spots the army coming, scans, and he's like, I just can't do anything here, can I? Yep, Q is just like, I just can't do shit, dude. I can't get in here. And this is why I'm saying I would have loved to see that quick 4th command center. And then even if you end up saying, look, I can't get in with the Mass Marine, you can take a fast 5th and you can drop your 2nd factory, drop your 3 starports on 8 gases and go straight up to the kind of late game air style. Now, of course, Q is doing that now. Swaps the barracks off the reactor because he's made stim and shields, and he's going to build a second factory there. We've got 2-2 for both sides. Combat shields just now starting for Maru, so Maru not even thinking about moving out for a long time. Not for at least another minute. And big army still marauding around this map. It's still a very even game. Identical tank count. 8 more Marines for Q because of the heavier barracks opening, but he's down 2 Ravens, which is pretty huge because these guys both have double cuck matrix, which means 6 siege tanks can just get locked down by those Ravens. That's massive. Not to mention, they're almost maxed on energy, which means there's going to be 12 auto turrets. So 6 interference matrices and 3 auto turrets, or just 12 flat auto turrets. Like it's a massive amount of potential damage or disable in a big fight. 4th base does now go down. +1 vehicle weapons is on the way. And Maru's just kind of basically doing what he does best, guys. And I know you might think I'm making fun of him. Have some respect if you think he's the greatest of all time. But guys, Maru in TvT, if he senses you want to be aggressive, and ever since that Reaper came in and scouted the quick second barracks, the starport going in the reactor, he knew this was an aggressive play. And so he does what Maru does best. And what is that in TvT, guys? He goes to the Fap Shack. For those who never played PUBG, there were these little sheds. These little sheds with like a shitty window and a door in it. And if you were an effing coward, you would just sit in the Fap Shack and wait for like someone else to run in, and then you'd kill them from behind the door. So Maru, he kind of does a much more actual good strategy version of that in TvT, where he's like, I'm just going to sit here and build tanks and defend Fap Shack. I'm in the Fap Shack. I'm hanging out in the Fap. And the thing is, inevitably, his opponents either try and attack and he wipes them so easily because his defense is so good, or they try to play late game, and we've seen how that's gone for Kua so far in this series. I mean, Kua looks like he's going there. He's going to go extra starports. He's going to add extra armories. He's trying to be greedy by taking the bases on location. But notice how Maru, he doesn't take any risks. You might be like, oh, look, he's moving out for an attack. Yeah, only with bio-medevac. So at any moment, he can pick up and just boost back to his side of the map. He doesn't give a shit. This is 0 risk aggression. He's got scans, he's got his army, and he's going to try and look, he's brought his Ravens just for shits and giggles, but he's not taking a single risk. He's like, I'm not going to unsiege a single tank, mate. I'm still making 1 billion command centers. I'm just seeing if I can catch you out of position, kill some stuff, and then run away. It is such a good way to play against someone who is afraid to play you in late game. Against someone who's shown they want to win early, they want to get advantages early. I mean, look at this. Q is marauding around the map for the last 8 minutes, and he can't find an opening. This reminds me of Hero Marine versus Maru on Death Aura. I think it was Death Aura was their final map in that season finals, I think it was, they played. And maybe it was a TSL. Can't remember. I just remember that Hero Marine just could not find a way in with his aggression. And it was like he just rotated around and kept running into tanks and Ravens, and like Hero Marine just left the game at almost max supply because he was like, this is just unfair. Like, Maru's defense is too good. I'm not gonna find a way in. Oh, Maru's actually thinking about moving forward, but guys, I think it's just to take a watchtower. Some people move out to try and kill the opponent. I move out to take the watchtower. We are not the same. Yeah, he's like, I just want to put a sensor tower here. That's it. Okay, Maru, Jesus Christ. Okay, like, literally, are we watching a slow-mo animation of a man slowly choking a child? Like, what? It's, I feel like he's choking Kua. I shouldn't doubt. Okay, Kua could do this. What's he got? Kua's down on Vikings this time. He's behind on the Ravens. Interference matrices going to be used to pick off a tank and a couple turrets. Not really a meaningful trade there. It's just a single tank. Obviously, the tank count is what Kua suffered with a lot in their previous games, but this time he's actually the one who's up 2 siege tanks. How's the orbital count going? Only 3 for Kua, 5 for Maru, but there's 4 orbitals making right now, so that's actually totally fine. Kua's actually been making more orbitals than Maru. You guys know I respect that shit a lot. Oh, Marine run by! And that's enough. He can go for it. Get in there. Kill them. Oh, Kua finally finds an opening, and it's Maru who's suffering to the 0 risk Marine medevac aggression. It's Maru who might even lose a base here. There's only 1 tank there. Kua shoving in, finally finding 20 SCVs, 4 siege tanks. This was a huge Victory, momentum shifter for Cure. He does then just leave his units to die. Oh, shit. It's not great. Maru's going to shove this right side. No, he can't. There's tanks, turrets, sensor towers spread. The scan catches his army, so Cure repositions. Maybe feints down the right side. Maybe opens up some of these rocks. Let's see what he goes for. 3 Ravens building at a time for both sides. It's already 7 Ravens for Maru, though. Only 3 for Cure. Cure has got 15 Vikings. Maru has 17. Maru's actually playing heavier Raven and heavier Viking. He's just got mass Sky. Mass auto turret spam. Every single tank gets locked down. 6 cucks sitting in a row, and Maru points at them with confidence and says, "You're all cucks." Suddenly, they try to shoot and they find their barrels are empty. They're unable to fire. They go, "I forgot how to use the firing mechanism." The captain of the tank's going, "What the fuck? Fire! Fire now!" They go, "Duh! He said he banged my wife." And Maru pushes in, gets a super decisive trade. And we talk about splitting your army up too much versus Ravens and how they can just take these incredible trades if they ever catch you out of position. Those 6 tanks did nothing. Nothing. The Ravens using that cuck matrix so well. Tanks trying to unload here. Q is trying to set up an emergency defense, but there's still so much Raven energy. There's too much Raven energy. And the Viking fight is going just fine for Maru. It looks like he's actually winning. That command center could lift off to avoid the tanks, but that means the Vikings kill it. Trap between a Viking and an arc light cannon. Crucio shock cannon, apparently? Okay. I guess it's called that. Oh, shit, man. Orbital's down. Anti-armor missile gonna help out this a lot. The Marines shoving forward. The Ravens were using their interference matrices so darned well, and even though a few landed on the tanks of Maru, Cure has been shoved back, and this has been so interesting in this game. Maru went way heavier on the Vikings than he did in the previous one. So even the air battle, which has traditionally gone the way of Cure, even that went in the way of Maru. And Maru was just able to get the initiate on those first 6 tanks, drop the interference matrix, and remember that the Ravens are only 2 supply. Their supply efficiency is just, oh, absolutely beautiful. Chef's kiss for the bloody Raven supply efficiency, mate. If you think about it, an auto turret, it's the equivalent of a couple of Marines. Even though it's only got a short life, you can drop 4 of those with a max energy Raven. That's like, it's just like 2 supply units just spawned 8+ supply. It's actually crazy. Marines running down. They do break out a little bit of the contain on the right side of the map. Can Cure survive? I mean, land a base and drop mass mules, right? You've still got 5 orbitals. Only 5 orbitals. He's lost a lot of his muling potential. He's got a heavy Marine army right now. I think he's going to have to go for a run by. Another base goes down. Maru is relentless. And he really is just looking like the biggest, stronger man in this match. He's just leaning his weight on top of Cure. And Cure unable to hold up in these late game battles. It really just feels like business as usual and just a constant steady dispatching of his opponents. And the thing is, if you're a player who's used to all the other types of Terran battles, it doesn't really prepare you for this sort of gameplay. And we saw the first glimpses of Maru's next level late game in early days of Legacy of the Void. We're talking early 2016. I'm talking Prion Terraces. I'm talking the original Lib Ghost OG, who showed us that that was even a composition you could do. Maru showed us back then that he was so sick at late game, and he had some amazing talent there. But in the 6 years since then, he has refined it to an insane level. I mean, it's just crazy how good he is in these situations. Look at that, guys. He picks up those tanks to get ramp control. You see that? Now he's got control over that ramp. If Cure moves across that, uh-oh. Oh, you don't want to move there, Cure. You're going to take some big volleys. No scan, though, for Maru, which is a little odd. Interference matrices do shut down those 2 tanks. The Vikings going to come forward, though. More interference matrices landing. Those tanks plus some auto turrets going to clear out the tanks on the top side. Cure already loses 2 tanks. These tanks going to go down. And Maru's just going to shove anti-armor missile, auto turrets all on top of it, pushing in forward, and Cure taking massive damage, man. This was a real last-ditch effort to get a bit of control over the map, but Maru, the way he cuts off the map, cuts off the rotations, moves those tanks around, and uses that Viking Raven control, absolutely exceptional. Puts him in the 3-0 dominating lead. This is a masterclass on how to turtle, do zero-risk Marine aggression into late game. Beautiful play by Maru. Down, but not yet out. On his last leg, well, leg, not legs, hopping around. And at this point saying, "'Tis but a flesh wound. I won't give up without a fight." This is Cure. Now, At this point, part of me wonders. Oh no, I do wonder if Kua should build a second depot there and wall out the scout, because then you could fake that you're doing a proxy 3-Rax Reaper. That's never really going to kill this build though, is it? Anyways, Maru down here is like, dude, surrender. I've already chopped off your limbs. Come on, man. Let me across this bridge into the land of DreamHack Masters last chance grand finals championship winningness. Doggo says, oof, oof, fuck you, Maru. Stop macroing so well. Maru's like, I'm sorry. I am the perfect turtle late game player. Why are you hating me for that? Like, well, I just want to see... The problem here, Maru, is you're kind of pulling a rogue on us, all right? You're kind of pulling a rogue. Oh, what's pulling a rogue? Being a sexy boy? No, Maru, it's not being a sexy boy, though rogue is also that. It's where you make your opponent, who's a top-tier champion in their own rights, look like they have no business being in the ring with you. That's pulling a rogue. And you're doing it to Kua right now, and it's friggin' cruel. Kua's a god-tier player who's playing god-tier StarCraft. Unfortunately, you're just a much bigger god in the late game, and you are not letting him get any momentum, any control in the early or mid game. And, you know, I was just saying in between loading the games to my live stream, if Maru's trying to make more plays in the mid game, guys, I think Kua looks like such a better player. But Maru is literally playing the most perfect, just turtle TvT. He's pulling his head into his shell, and he's saying, nah, fuck you, I'm not coming out to fight till I have ravens and I'm maxed. And Kua's like, please come and fight me, because I think Kua... Every other Terran he plays against is out there trying to fight him. They're trying to basically make all sorts of plays happen, and it's this real back and forth. Oh, he's trying to do this, and I'll try to make that play while defending that play. In this one, it's like, yeah, just hold the SCV key down and try to defend it. Oh, and perfect. You're up 3-0. Maru finally is like, you know what? You know what? Let's just do a tank elevator. So he's going to drop a tank there, siege it up. It's going to be in range of the reactor and the tech lab. Kua, will he spot this coming? If he spots it on the way across the map, he might be able to get on top of it and shut it down. But this is one of those pushes where you guys have played identical builds every game so far. And that's why it's so darned beautiful. Excuse me, guys, burping to the microphone. Big chance of catching the opponent off guard with this one. So you can see Kua this time around being a bit more defensive with his units. But if he moves out here, he will see this drop coming. Let's see. Kua. Oh, he's in position. He's in the position. Oh, he gets the lock on the medevac, but he doesn't actually stand and fight. The tank, even unsieged, is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Another lock on onto the tank would be the dream. That tank's actually not in range of the add-ons. He's going to try and inch that forward. So the idea is if you can run forward and lock onto that tank, that would be great. He locks onto the medevac, but it boosts back. It only takes a single tick of damage. And he's going to lock onto the Hellion. Gets a few ticks of damage on that as well. Raven's going to come forward. Often a flanking auto turret on the siege tank is a good way to do it. Tank here sieging on the high ground as well. Does lose a reactor and a depot. A little frustrating for Kua, but he definitely should be able to bust out of this in the near future. This is not game-ending damage. It's just a bit of a distraction, bit of a frustration and annoyance. The medevac immediately breaks the Cyclone lock-on, and the Marines here are taking some pretty decent tank volleys to the face. Maru is going to get cleaned up at the end of the day. You can see the units lost tab looks pretty similar. Looks pretty all right for Maru. What you've got to recognize here, though, is losing that reactor takes a very long time to rebuild. A lot of downtime on that barracks while this happened. And there is a third command center up here, but there's one identically timed for Maru. Maru still has map control, and not just that. He's actually got a medevac, more tanks and Marines. Sieging a tank here would be fantastic. Just pick off a gas. But because his medevac's so low, looks like he will go home and just repair up. He's going to pull 5 SCVs. That tells us he wants to go again. He might pick up these 2 tanks and boost across with the medevac. That's why normally you'd only pull 1 SCV to repair, maybe 2. But he pulled 5, which is a lot of mining time he gave up. And that tells me he's going to pick up those tanks and move across again. Yeah, here we go. Round 2, guys. Round 2. Siege tanks, though, are covering this angle. As I say that, he unsieges from that angle. He's not covering the bottom side. Reaper's moving across the map for a counterattack. Kua's moving out to take his third, is he? I think that's what he's doing. He wants to take position on the third base. He sees a Cyclone. Kua, wake up. I don't know. Has he noticed this? Uh-oh. Oh, that medevac getting some good vision. So the Cyclone does deal some massive damage, and it's a double tank drop, and that tank unsieging from the high ground, a bit of a nightmare. He does drop an auto turret there, and another auto turret on the low ground. One of the Ravens goes down. Pretty good auto turrets, but he's going to lose that Raven potentially. Okay, gets rid of both of the tanks. Good hold by Cure. Cure's looking pretty good, actually. I'm really impressed. Drops an auto turret. Oh, YOLO drop on the high ground. Is that going to really work out? The Reapers come back with a tasty F2. The Vikings going to get the Ravens and the Chaos. Oh, and that Medevac's going to unload as well. Well played by Maru. Is he just shoving? I can't believe he's shoving in here. This Viking kill the Medevac. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. How is he doing this? This is the confidence of a 3-0 lead, and I know I'm so good. There's no pressure on me, but all the pressure's on you. And I killed the reactor. I know you have less Marines. I know you have less units to work with, less tools. He's shooting... No, not his own unit. He's shooting the unbuildable plate. Never mind repairing his Vikings up. But it's 4 versus 2. This is really bad. This is really bad for Cure right now. He does get a volley off for free. The Marines zoning, but look at that. The tank's back. And that reactor will get sniped by this siege tank. Maru. Oh, this is a beautiful air superiority push. This tank moves forward. Other tank thinking about moving down that right side. Reactor does go down, and it looks like he killed one of the Vikings as it popped out as well. Maru, 5 Vikings versus 3. 7. He's just had 2 more pop at home. His third base is landed and mining. Meanwhile, Cure is deep in Dicktown, and all he can smell is Maru's taint. It does not smell good. He wants to get out of here quick fast. How the hell does he scramble out of this one, though? He's going to have to go around and intercept the rally, but it might be too late. The scan keeps seeing wherever his army is. This is gross, man. Maru is in a dominating position. The tank for Cure gets the first shot off, but the Viking land turns that around, and lovely rotation in the main. And Maru here showing, yes, he can play end game like a god. He can also play some sick technical positional, momentum-focused early game, and that's exactly what he's done here. Every single unit used to perfection. Does he get cleaned up? Yeah. Where's your starport, though? It's had to evacuate and build a reactor there. Where are those 16 SCVs? They're dead. That's where they are. And he comes back again! At this point, this is a tilt drop. He is not looking for real damage. He's looking to piss Cure off. He knows Cure's got to be so triggered at this point. He's like, yeah. He's like, I know I'd be effing mad if someone was dropping a landed Viking and a tank on my base in a 9 hit point medevac. Look at this. This is nonsense. Maru's not even trying to... No! He lands the 4 Vikings, kills the tank, picks them back up, and saves them with a 9 hit point medevac. You are just being a dick at this point, Maru. Stop it. He's already dead, bro. Oh my god. Oh man, Maru is an absolute savage, dude. This man has no chill. Have some respect for your former teammate, man. You guys were on Jin Air Green Wings for years. Oh my god, have just an ounce of chill for your bro. Oh my god. Oh man, he's bigger brother and Cure right now is Maru, you know? He's doing that thing where the dad versus their son in something, and then the dad goes so ultra try hard, you know, like shout out if you're watching this, if maybe you guys have started losing to your son or your daughter in StarCraft, maybe you get mega try hardy. That's Maru's doing that, but it's not even close. He's doing it. He doesn't even need to mega try hard because he's still playing. His son's only 7 years old. They don't even use hotkeys. You don't need to try hard in this. Oh, I'm not hating on Cure. I love Cure, guys. He's actually playing such a good game. Maru's just kind of... You can see that he's woken up today feeling like $100. He's fully on point, fully focused, and he's trolling the shit out of him with these Vikings, but it is actually effective trolling at this point. Look at that. Dude, Cure has got to be so mad. The Drilly Boys are like, taste my drill. The Vikings like, you know I have a fucking giant Gatling gun, right? The SCVs do go down, and Cure with a desperate counter push trying to find a way in. He does not have combat shields yet. He cannot fight into Maru. Maru is up a solid 20 workers, moving out to a 4th base, while right now Cure's basically got the $2 shop Terran army. I have a landed Viking and 2 medevacs and some Marines without shields. Like he's just gone to the discount leftover fucking police riot gear store and bought some random shit that's all cracked and broken and said, you guys are an elite squad of warmen. Yeah. It's not a good look compared to the elite force that is building for Maru. He has 10 more Marines, an extra tank. He's got Viking control of the skies. He's got sensor towers building everywhere. He's got turret rings on the edges. Everything continuing at a steady space. And oh, look, he's about to get supply blocked, except his name's Maru. So his depot's finished just before he gets supply blocked because he's a literal god. Tasteless. Yeah. Oh, Kua. Desperate times call for desperate measures. 3 tanks in the open on their own, undefended. Nice move. Pull back to your tanks. And yeah, he actually gets a good little fight there, but... Oh, Maru siege is a little close. Does siege in range, and Kua does win that fight as well, but... The low-risk counterattack gets the 4th command center. Kua's trickle of a production. Can it deal with this absolute tidal wave of Marines coming in from Maru's counter? The Drilly Boys are forced. They say, taste my drills! And yeah, that's kind of becoming the war cry of someone who's usually in a pretty effed position. The taste my drills, sometimes the heroic pull of the boys that does end up winning the game. And other times, yeah, shit, desperate last-ditch effort where you're like, probably should have surrendered, rather than going for that last offensive and getting so many more lives taken for no sense and no purpose. Marines trying to defend, even more SCVs dying. He's all over him as Maru. Kua trying to rally up for one big push, but he's in sensor tower range. The tanks see it, and there's a planetary there now as well. Kua's tanks getting taken out at the front. The Marines will take out both of those siege tanks. He'll be able to siege in range of the planetary. His own Marines run forward, but these 2 tanks are going to give him a nightmare. That's right, guys. This isn't a nightmare. That's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare is playing Maru in TvT is what it is. What the hell? What the hell? Greatest of all time. That's what he does. It's also used to not be his best matchup. I think it might be now, especially since he's embraced his absolutely amazing end game. Just a complete shutout there from start to finish. Some good moments Kua had, especially earlier in the series, but at the end of the day, guys, Maru just showing that he's too good. And I do like that he mixed it up at the end of the series and played a lot more aggressive. Just amazing positioning. And the way he abused this angle with the Vikings and so on over and over again and kept coming back for more seconds, thirds, and fourths. That had to be an infuriating game to play for Kua. But I gotta say, Kua, he worked his way to this grand finals through a fantastic set of victories. He fought hard, he fought well. Hats off to him. Maru is just on another level right now, and he is looking lined up to win his first world championship. This is, I mean, the GOAT talk is getting louder than ever. It was a buzzing in my ears. It's louder than ever. Well played, Maru, and let's see how he does at the world championship coming up. I can't wait to find out.